their brain experiences the opposite effect. Feeling anger due to stress increases brain pressure, causing a massive consumption of oxygen. As a result, there is hardly any room for new branches to grow in the brain. The frequency of feeling accomplished drastically decreases. This means that anger stops brain growth. Therefore, the conclusion is that the brain should not be hindered by anger or minor irritations in order for a person to grow regardless of age. However, the good news is that even if you tend to get irritated, often or constantly feel negative in the same situation, you can change that. It is possible to become someone who can control their emotions. So here we are, emotions. Hey, you know those people who are really good at controlling things, right? Well, it's important to know what makes them stand out. After years of research, the author discovered that people who are naturally good at control tend to have a positive mindset that just shines through. For example, those whose brain's auditory cortex is highly developed tend to be good at emotional control. And the interesting thing is, successful entrepreneurs also seem to have this same trait. The author says that success and emotions are closely linked, and successful people seem to have a good ear for listening. So the key here is being a good listener. It's not just about hearing, but really understanding the intention behind the words. Are they giving orders, asking questions, wanting to have a conversation, or just talking to themselves? Are you saying that I have the ability to accurately interpret whether someone is telling me to listen or not? For example, when someone says, "It looks like it's going to rain in the afternoon," someone with no listening skills might interpret this short comment in various ways. Depending on the nature of their brain, they might take it as a command to bring an umbrella, or as a request to come pick them up by car, or even as a question of whether it's actually going to rain. They might also interpret it as a warning to grab an umbrella, among other interpretations. The problem is that for people who often feel angry, these interpretations tend to lean towards the negative side. In reality, when we engage in conversation, we often don't fully convey the meaning of our words. But there are also times when we do. There are definitely cases where we hide our true intentions and tell a story in a roundabout way. That's why accurate interpretation of words becomes important. The more accurately you can understand the intention behind what the other person is saying, the higher the chances of success. So, it's important to find the meaning behind the words. Sometimes, before even finding the true meaning, people interpret it in a completely different way. So, even though the person is not actually saying anything with emotions, they might be saying it just to get your attention. This kind of misinterpretation can cause a lot of problems. People like this may wonder why they keep getting into conflicts more often than others. It's because they are not good at listening and understanding properly. So they end up misinterpreting things and causing misunderstandings, which lead to conflicts. These people tend to get into conflicts more frequently than others, which makes them more prone to anger, irritation, and frustration, leading to a cycle of negative emotions. The author points out that people who don't listen properly are more likely to get angry. If you don't understand the context properly, you won't know what to expect from others. And sometimes you might even misinterpret what others are saying. I wonder if my words might sound too formal, so you might be wondering if your ears are prickling. Can you handle a little test now? I'm going to list 15 items, and I want you to count how many apply to you by holding up your fingers. 1. Can you listen attentively to other people's stories? 2. Do you enjoy listening to music or the radio? 3. Can you play a musical instrument? 4. Do you rarely miss what others are saying? 5. Do you answer phone calls well and remember to pass on the information? 6. Do you stay focused during meetings or lectures? 7. Can you understand a story accurately after hearing it once? 8. Can you use intonation effectively when telling a story? 9. Can you hear soft sounds well? 10. Can you adjust your voice volume appropriately for the situation? 11. Do you remember your daily tasks and commitments? 12. Do you keep your promises once made? 13. Can you distinguish sounds of different animals or pets well? 14. Can you identify who is approaching just by their footsteps and recognize car models by their engine sounds? 15. So, if you keep asking, what did you say, 3 times a day or less, you might be one of those people with really well-developed brain wiring for hearing. These folks have their own unique interpretations and judgments without contaminating other people's intentions. Yeah, no, they can accurately understand what the other person is trying to say without twisting it. But if you only check 9 items or less, it might mean your listening skills are still a bit rusty. The author suggests a solution for this practice. Actively listening for at least 10 minutes a day during meetings, phone calls, lectures, or conversations. This will help improve your listening skills quickly, and before you know it, you'll have sharp ears. When you practice actively listening to what the other person is saying during important meetings, phone calls, or lectures, you'll start to see a decrease in misunderstandings and become less likely to get angry. The author also shares an interesting story here, saying that even someone who seems smart because of their education and job can still be a hot-tempered person, especially if they're good at expressing their thoughts verbally. People who are proficient in languages tend to prioritize their own thoughts and knowledge. If these people do not develop their listening skills, they may react sensitively to the other person's words, get angry, speak in a rude or aggressive manner, insist on their own opinions, or attack different opinions. This can lead to high levels of stress, and even incidents like not being able to go to work or giving up on everything. So, being logical and intelligent is a separate issue from having good listening skills. Additionally, the author tells a story that challenges our biases about anger. Listen to what the author has to say. People often argue when they want to force their opinions on someone of the same level. For example, parents may scold their child for not knowing an easy problem, or a colleague may criticize another for not being able to do a simple task. These words may seem like disrespect or belittling, but they actually mean the opposite. So when someone speaks, they consider the other person as being at the same level or even better than themselves. You can totally do it, you know. When you come into this job, you are expressing your belief that you can do it by packaging it in anger. In other words, anger is only expressed to someone who is perceived to be equal to oneself. It's when you unconsciously expect something from the other person and get angry without realizing it. According to your research, if you really ignore someone, you won't show anger. It means you don't think they're worth getting mad about. So what do you guys think? Whatever happens, it's best for us to not let our anger get the best of us. If our brain pressure keeps rising, we make more mistakes and our brain won't grow anymore. So with a brain that won't get any better after going through the current state of making mistakes, how will the future unfold? Even without me telling you, the result is pretty obvious, right? Nevertheless, if you find yourself getting angry and losing your temper, just remember these 3 things: don't continue, don't decide, don't proceed. In about 30 minutes to an hour, the brain pressure will go down. Until it gets dark, it's about keeping these 3 things. According to the author, just by keeping this, you can actually avoid most problems. Now, the most important thing is left. You have to be able to do it, succeed, know it. You have to hear or see these kinds of positive statements often. They say that this type of positive sentence actually drops your brain. It's okay, I can handle it. I know the solution. You have to keep saying these things to yourself silently. Or just by reading or listening to such articles, your brain will automatically adjust the brain pressure. That means your thoughts won't spread in an anxious and unnecessary direction. One more thing you should know here is that just hearing complaints, curses, or negative comments can raise your brain pressure. That's why the people around you are so important. When you hear the word morning, what kind of emotion comes to mind first? Is it positive or negative? In fact, for many people, mornings are often annoying or stressful, just because they have to get up without really doing anything special. Colloquial translation, you gotta stick to these three things until it gets dark. According to the author, just following this can help you avoid most problems. Now the most important thing is left. You gotta believe you can do it, you've got this, you know it. You need to hear or see positive statements like these often. They say that positive affirmations can actually boost your confidence. It's okay, I can handle it. I know how to solve it. Keep telling yourself these things silently. Or just by reading or listening to such articles, your brain will naturally adjust the pressure. That means your mind won't wander off in an anxious or unnecessary direction. One more thing you should know is that just hearing complaints, curses, or negative comments can bring you down. That's why the people around you are so important. When you hear the word morning, what's the first emotion that comes to mind? Is it positive or negative? For many people, mornings are often annoying or stressful because they have to get up without anything special to look forward to. When you feel like this, what you can do is, I can do it well. It's said that saying this sentence out loud to yourself. I hope today can be a day where you can actually see how this simple and trivial method can affect your day. Thank you for watching the video until now. This is Canadian Daddy signing off.